breaking down Lubbock High sports. This is the Westerner Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back to the High School Fan Zone on a Tuesday night. We're going to we're doing something a little bit different. I meant to mention that before we finished up with the Plains Fan Zone. As you can see, we're not with Juan Rodriguez. He is out cheering somebody up somewhere, I'm sure, being upbeat and optimistic. Instead, we have Lady Westerners basketball coach Brent Palmer, and he brought Izzy Palmer and Faith Ford with him. We're going to talk a little bit about their upcoming season. I did a little bit of research, and he brought me some material here as well, which is always helpful. Brent, I just asked you, you're going into year 9 at
Year 9 here at Lubbock High, yes, sir.
And before that, Izzy's going to think you're old when I say 36 years as a head coach?
36 years total, yes, sir.
I only say that so my daughters, when I think I'm an old man, I understand I'm in the same age group as you. So you spent a lot of time at Plains, correct?
That's where I grew up,
okay.
Plains, Texas. Went all my school was there from first grade through graduation. So, and then to West Texas State University, now West Texas A&M.
Yep. And then where did you coach before Lubbock High?
I was at Abilene High for 6 years, and then I was out at Roosevelt for a couple of years, and before that I was 16 years in college.
Okay.
College coaching. So
you've crossed a lot of bridges then.
I have, and then I had 1 year in the NWBL. I had Cheryl Swoops and Stacy Stevens from University of Texas, and that was a lot of fun as well.
You probably know some people I know then that also coach some of those ladies. We can talk about that somewhere else because we're going to talk about Lubbock High right now. My research, I'm going to throw the bad number out right away. Last year got a little bit away from you guys, had some injuries. These two missed a lot of time. And you had some adjustments to some players that weren't there anymore. Wound up, I didn't even write it down. It must have been 7-22.
I believe so, yes, sir.
But you don't have to turn the page to go back very far. You guys were 21-15 the year before,
right? Knocking
on the door to the playoffs in a tough district then.
Very tough, yes, sir.
We're going to talk about how the district's changed again.
Right, and that year we were predominantly all sophomores on the varsity, and so we've grown together, and hopefully that's going to translate into something really good this year.
Well, let's let these ladies jump in here. Faith, you missed all of last year?
Yes, sir.
And knock on wood.
Yeah.
Fully, although you said that the weather is making you achy.
I can tell the weather, I feel like.
Welcome to early adulthood. What I know for high school kids, I think it's especially tough. When you're as good an athlete as you are and you have to sit and watch, how tough was that? How much did that mature you a little bit?
Starting off with it was very tough. But when it comes to the maturing that you said, I learned a lot. It's a different perspective to sit on the bench, especially all season knowing that all my numbers across were zeros.
Yeah.
But definitely learning, getting that perspective of what I should not do, things that, you sit here and hear coaches, my parents sit here and nag at me about, but to be able to actually see it changed a whole different perspective. So I definitely increasing my game and different skills, so.
Izzy, you got to play part of last season, correct?
Oh, she played the whole year.
Yeah,
okay, but you played hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was just coming off,
Coming off her surgery.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
So you got a little bit different perspective, too. You kind of went from that sophomore year that Coach was talking about when you guys were really good as that group together to you were kind of the Lone Ranger as far as experience with that team. And plus you had to learn how to adjust to being hurt. What did you learn from that?
Definitely the pace. I was a little slower coming back. She knows too. You have to adjust to the pace and trusting yourself that you're not going to get hurt again.
It's just like when I talk to the football guys, you have to take that one big hit in football. Was there a moment last year where you had to kind of feel hurt and understand just have to keep playing?
Yeah, it definitely takes your confidence away too sometimes, yeah.
Where is that confidence now? Are you... I'll knock on wood again. Are you back 100%?
Yes, sir.
And you two are sitting here, but I remember the times I saw you last year. There was a couple of other girls that kind of emerged, Brent, that I don't even remember being there as sophomores. Trying to think the girl that wound up being one of your high-volume scorers last year.
Yeah, Camille Reynolds really had a good year for us last year. Really came on. as a junior, and with Faith being out, and us losing a player the year before, we had to have somebody to step up alongside Izzy to do a lot of the scoring, and she really stepped up and did a good job for us last year.
And then I know I texted you about this a couple of times last year. Watching Pierce when she was younger, she hadn't kind of figured out, because she's what, 6'2", 6'3"?
About 6'1", 6'1", and a half.
And Faith, you'll know what I'm talking about here. Sometimes young ladies don't know exactly what to do with when they're that. And watching her last year, she made a lot of strides last year.
She really did. She's been at my camp ever since she was like a fourth or fifth grader, and from that time until now, it's just like night and day the progress that she's made over the years. And she's one of those kids that she wants to be good and really puts in a lot of time working on her skills, shooting, those kind of things. And not only do we need her to have a good year, I really hope she has a good year just because she's worked so hard.
Faith, I'm going to guess that her having a good year would be okay with you too, because if you got two big girls inside that can do their thing, that's a big difference. And
especially with that player, Pierce, we went to middle school together, so definitely her growth, me alongside as one of her teammates, being able to see her grow, I had nothing but the high hopes for her last year. And I know, I sucked that I was out, but I honestly really do think that Pierce needed that, especially as that she had a little, she didn't really have a choice. Who else is going to get rebounds? I mean, we have all of our girls are super strong and they like to hustle, but she definitely stepped into that role. So
yeah, there's something to be said for getting your feet put to the fire. You got to grow up a little bit quicker, which you guys have been doing for a while now, playing since you were freshmen. They've been
well, actually Izzy and Faith have played together since they were third grade.
So you guys know each other a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about the Lady Westerners when we come back. Lubbock High football is in action this week. We'll talk about when and where when we come back and give you the particulars about that. But tonight it's Lubbock High Lady Westerner basketball on the Westerner Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. I'm Randy Rosetta. We'll be back right after this break.
Bringing you the latest news from Lubbock High Athletics. This is the Westerner Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back into the Westerner Fan Zone. I mentioned Lubbock High does play football this week. They're at home Thursday against Abilene High at Lowry Field. That's on another network, but that will be Mark Bro and Rob Bro on the call. I'll run through the other games real quick here, and then we'll jump back in with the Lady Westerners. Friendships at Midland Legacy, Double T 97.3 FM. Caprock comes to town to play Coronado at Lowry Field on 96.9 The Bowl. These are all 7 p.m. kickoffs. 96.9 The Bowl. Monterey goes up to Amarillo, takes on Tascosa at 7 p.m. Friday on 93.7 The Eagle. I should have mentioned Lubbock Cooper with Lubbock High because they also play on Thursday up at Dick Bivens Stadium, 7 p.m. right here on 100.7 The Score. Liberty's on the road for their district game at Borger, 93.1 Yes FM. Estacado goes to Perryton. That's on a different network at 7 p.m. Nick Long on the call. And Roosevelt and Idalou get together, 97.7 FM. We're into the meat of the football schedule. Brent, you've lived here for a while. Last week there were 6 home games in Lubbock on the same night on Friday night. Did you ever?
Wow, that's a lot of games.
So it was a lot of football. Yeah. It took me a while. I don't know that I fully recovered from that yet from my website business. But I love this time of year because football's getting busy, but basketball's right around the corner. I'm a basketball dude. I'm a Kansas guy, so
right.
Basketball was, when you grow up in Kansas, basketball sort of thrust on you whether you want to or not.
Right. We actually officially get started tomorrow through the UIL. So, our first after-school practice is tomorrow, and so we're excited about that and getting ready to go. We've got about a week and a half before our first scrimmage. So
I see some smiles here between us. And then these two, I mentioned having to sit out. High school kids don't always love practice, but with this team – you got a side glance there, Brent, from with this team, with what you guys went through last year, Izzy, how eager are you now to kind of get together and see what you guys can start accomplishing?
I think we definitely need more leadership, and we want it. We don't really How do I explain it? I feel like last year we kind of gave up towards the end, and we didn't put our all. Yeah.
What about you, Faith? First of all, this is your last trip around the block. You don't get any more first high school practices after this.
Going along with Izzy said, I know I carry a lot of that big leadership role on the team, and so I'm excited to get back and to hopefully our girls get it so soon. We start, like you said, we start tomorrow. That this is our last go around, and really emphasize on that. But I think I have really high hopes for us. I have faith in us, so I think we'll be good.
I think one of the things that Faith brings to us that we didn't have last year is she's a very vocal leader out on the floor. And, there's a lot of different types of leadership out on the floor by how you play. And one thing that's really critical is for you to have a leader on the floor that's really talking and getting people fired up and stuff like that. And I felt like that was one of the big things that we missed last year, was that vocal leader and is not afraid to say something to somebody that needs to be said. And sometimes girls shy away from that a little bit, unlike guys maybe. But that's one of the things that she brings to our team that we didn't have last year, is that real vocal person out on the floor. And I'm really excited about this group, because I feel like this team with 6-7 seniors could be the best team I know that I've ever had here at Lubbock High since I've been here, and maybe ever as far as any team that has been here at Lubbock High. And that's our expectation as a coaching staff, because we know that we've got the talent. Obviously we're in a tough district. Probably one of the top 2 districts in the state of Texas,
yes,
5A.
I would agree with that.
Unbelievably tough. And, you can have a good team and not even make the playoffs.
Right.
Which makes every game so important when you go out there. And I think with the experience that we have, if we can stay away from injuries, we've got an opportunity to do some really good things that maybe hadn't happened at Lubbock High.
Well, I want to jump in and talk about that district for a minute, but I want to throw this out, and I hope you think this is a compliment, Faith. Watching you as a young player, it was Kaya Smith and Kelly Mora were older. Mm-hmm. I think they were seniors when you were a sophomore, and it seemed like to me that you were the kind of player they could kind of pass the torch to, because you play a lot of the same way. And then what Coach just said, you got that same personality as those two as well.
Yeah, that's definitely a compliment, especially from Kaya, because I played alongside with her. But yeah, I definitely think I'm capable of stepping in those shoes.
I want you to talk when we come back, Izzy. We'll be back on the Westerner Fan Zone. This is 100.7 The Score.
Breaking down Lubbock High sports. This is the Westerner Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back to the final segment of the Westerner Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. I'm Randy Rosetta. I'm joined by a trio from the Lubbock High Lady Westerners, Brent Palmer, who's been a coach there for 9 years and is still very young, Izzy Palmer, his daughter, in case you can't tell, and Faith Ford. Izzy, I told you before we went to break, I want you to you had to play without Faith last year, and you guys have played together a lot. Is this like getting your old security blanket back, having her out there this year?
I feel like we have good chemistry a lot of the time, and she can make reads, and I can make reads off of her. She definitely catches all my passes, even if they're a little far. But, yeah, I'm really happy to have her back, yeah.
I should have jumped in and asked you a minute ago. Having her and Pierce together inside, that's a kind of a point guard's dream, to have two big girls that can do things.
I can definitely get a lot of outlets, and she knows how to set my screens well, so, yeah.
And then Camille, what does she do for you as a point guard? How effective can she be?
She's really offensive-minded. She can shoot the ball really well, and she's really confident no matter what. Like, whoever we're playing, she got a dog in her. So, yeah. All
right, role reversal here, Faith. Having a point guard like Izzy, how big is that for you? Especially, coming back from injury, you're going to have to kind of get used to things again. Having a point guard you're comfortable with, how big is that?
Well, there's really big emphasis on the fact that we can read each other really well. But me knowing that Izzy has a drive in her, that we kind of have the same goal this year and hopes to prove something, not only to others like our fans, but to ourselves, that me being able to rely on her and her being able to rely on me, I think that's the biggest thing for us. And again, I know she makes me a bad pass. She got me on the next one. So, yeah.
So, Brent, the point guard's supposed to be the extension of the coach. That's the cliche.
It is. Izzy does a great job running the point. She's one of those point guards who handles the ball tremendously well, has always done that ever since she was a little kid. The biggest thing that I've got to stay after her about is taking the open shot. Sometimes she likes to make the pass instead of taking the shot, and so we talk about that a lot, but she plays with a lot of confidence and handles the ball well, and a lot of teams don't press us because we have several good ball handlers on our team, and so that's nice as a coach to have that out there on the floor. Sometimes we butt heads. As
I'm a two-time girl dad. You're preaching to the choir,
as coach dads and player daughters do at times, but for the most part, we feed off of each other, and it's been really fun coaching her. Hard at times, but I mean that's all part of it. So looking really forward to her being a senior, and looking forward to both of these having a great senior year, and several others on our team. Hopefully we'll be playing at the next level next year somewhere, and that'll be fun too.
Sometime during the season when you guys are on, I'll tell you about one of my favorite stories I wrote was about Brad Crow coaching both of his daughters at the same time, because I'm going to guess your two daughters, I don't know if they're polar opposites, but when you have two daughters, there's usually some differences in that.
Yeah, they are totally opposite of each other.
And Brad's were too. So
yeah.
Before we get out of here, your district, it's the Super District again, which I know when that came out, there were basketball coaches and volleyball coaches both who kind of grinned and knew how tough it's going to be. So you're looking at Monterey, Coronado, Lubbock, Cooper, Amarillo High, Tascosa, Caprock, Palo Duro, and Plainview.
Correct.
And for those folks who haven't paid attention the last 30 or 40 years, that's some of the most tradition-rich programs in the state, let alone in West Texas.
Absolutely. There's not a weak team in our district. That's why it's going to be really, really important to take care of your business at home and try to sneak off a few of them on the road and get in one of those top four spots,
Because that top four get in a little bit different, as you mentioned, because now the UIL will divide them up, big school and small school, when you get there. And I mentioned this to you before, between Monterey, Lubbock, Cooper, Amarillo High, and Tascosa recently, I think PD has been there not too terribly long ago. They've been very regular participants in the regional tournament. It won't be a regional tournament anymore, but they know how to get to that stage. You mentioned this is a Lubbock High team that's got the potential to get there. And these two young ladies right here are a big part of that.
Absolutely, and it's going to be a dogfight every night. And the tough thing is you're going to have a couple of teams that are really good teams that don't make the playoffs. And that's the sad part of it